We did it. We've teamed up, and together we've created something special. We are the Idaho Underground Sports Network, and we're changing the game. We're covering Idaho high school sports in a way that you haven't seen before. Together, we'll be providing weekly breakdowns and recaps while helping uncover Idaho's top talents at a deeper level. Trust us, you want to be part of this. Boise Sports Talk, EBC Media, and the Game Time Guru bring you Gym Session. Let's get to work. What's up, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of Gym Session. Been a couple of weeks off. My name is Shane Larson, also known as the Game Time Guru, alongside AJ Niebergall from EBC Media. Let's get it. Ty Spangenberg is not here with us this week once again, but he wanted to be. So we're going to give a shout out to Ty, Boise Sports Talk. He's been killing it with all the stuff he's been doing, work, and then obviously his sports media. He's been absolutely crushing it. I will just give a quick little rundown. I've been gone. I've been MIA for the last couple of weeks myself, just because I've had other obligations, had work stuff. I was in Florida for a work conference and a couple other things going on, wife's birthday and everything. September gets a little hectic in my neighborhood, but AJ and Ty and the rest of the crew, Cherry, Meyer, everybody else, they've been holding down the fort. Ooh, yeah. Shout out Boise Sports Talk with the 10K followers.
My boy. Woo! We had to give him that shout out. We're going to do it right, baby.
I love it, dude. BST, doing it right. Changing the game completely changing the game on sports media when it comes to social media. He's done it right. He's been consistent with it for a few years. Shout out to Ty. Make sure to give him a shout out when you see him at the games. Tall redhead, good looking dude. Make sure when you see him, you shout him out and give him a congrats. Hey, speaking of 10K, help us get to 10K over on Instagram. We're pretty close to it. We're going to be doing some big giveaway stuff for that. We got some stuff in the works. So if you haven't followed us on Instagram, you probably should be doing that. That's where we're giving you all the information at Idaho Underground Sports on Insta. Okay, so go follow us there, because if you're trying to watch these games and see the highlights that we're providing and get all the information on the teams and the players, that's where we're at. So we're going to jump into it. There's a couple of weeks worth of content we need to kind of wrap up in. So today we're going to be talking about what's happened this last week or two in high school football, as well as what we're looking forward to this week in arguably one of the best games in Idaho history for high school football, at least in the regular season coming up. Two powerhouse teams, collision course Friday night that we'll be at. So we'll talk about it all today on Gym Session. AJ, how are you doing, man?
I've missed you. Is what I'm doing, but it's good to do this again. We've had people hitting us up. I mean, you, Shane, me, Cherry, everybody's hitting us up. Hey, where's Gym Session? So that's made me feel good. It's gotten me excited to get back to doing this. And man, but life has been crazy for me. Obviously for you, you travel in the world right now working and you know, Ty's doing, I mean, I saw Ty's schedule today. He got something every single day of the week, man. Someone needs to sign that man to a contract. Like he's special. I want to give him another shout out. It's not the same when he's not here. We know that. Everybody knows that. You know, he's the heartbeat really of what we do, you know, in his realm, and we all do our thing, but without Ty, it's just not the same. So I miss him right now. I've been able to see him the last few weeks, which has filled my heart. But yeah, man, it's good to be back and good to have you back.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, man, and I echo everything AJ just said about Ty. We love Ty and everything he's about. The issue with this recording stuff with all of us is that we're all on different schedules. We have different pockets of time throughout each day that we're allowed to, you know, kind of jump in here and try to get this done. So we're doing this for you guys, but sometimes it doesn't always correlate together. So Ty just wasn't available today to do that recording because he's obviously busy with a lot of stuff that he's doing. As we jump into it, AJ, let's talk about the last couple of weeks and how the landscape of football has shaped up. I mean, it was cool for me because as I was in Orlando, I was keeping up to date that one Friday night when I was there on all the content you guys were providing with some of the games. You happened to be at the Highland Meridian game during that game. Hard-fought battle went all the way to the end. You want to give us a quick little recap of that one? As I know it was 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I should say, but that was a pretty big game to kind of test outside of the SIC, a powerhouse like Highland, who, you know, has struggled a little bit this year, but they're still proving that they can compete, especially when healthy. Talk to us about what you saw and anything that you learned about those programs that Friday night.
Highland's real. I mean, we didn't know it till the end of the year last year, but Highland's real. They were missing their best offensive weapon, Riddle. He was hurt. Varela wasn't even supposed to play. He ended up playing. So they had some injuries there, but defensively, they were very solid. They tackle, they're physical. It came down to the last possession. They had first and goal with 2 minutes to go, and Meridian's defense, stood up and was stout and showed who they were. But Highland, I mean, it was a top 5 matchup. It ended 14-6. It showed us a little bit about both teams. Meridian's defense is just special. That's special. They are headhunters. They are looking to put people in the ground, rest in peace. And they play faster than anybody else I've seen this year. I did just see Rocky's defense play as well against Capital, which isn't necessarily the same type of competition, but they're right there too. So this is going to be a fun matchup this week. But Highland, I think, is a top 5 team, especially when healthy. They've had a tough schedule. They've got Rigby this week. But when it comes down to it, Shane, we're going to see Highland in this state tournament, and they are going to be a team that if you do not play your A game, you will not beat them.
It's interesting you said that. A couple of things I wanted to dissect on that is, one, Highland when healthy, but the question is, can they be healthy when the time comes, right? That's the question we've had for every team. We were worried about Meridian's depth throughout the season. They've been pretty good, knock on wood, right? Relatively healthy for the most part. They've missed a few pieces here and there, but they've been able to keep their core guys together throughout the season. And that's just how sports are. Like, you got to be healthy when the time comes, because you might have a dominant regular season, but you don't get healthy when playoffs come. Well, then what does it matter, really? You can't really make a deep run. But it's usually the healthiest teams that are playing the best at the end of the season. That's the thing about Highland. Hopefully they can be fully healthy when playoffs come around, because they're not looking so much at their losses that they've had, because they've definitely competed, and they will continue to do so. But if they can make a run the next 2 weeks or so and get themselves in the right position, I think I'm right there with you. The other thing I wanted to say about Meridian's game against Highland was they proved that they could win a close game. They've been pretty much outlasting all of their teams that they've played against this year for the majority of the games. This was a hard-fought battle that tested their will. Not everything was going their way offensively, but Meridian's defense stood up and said, okay, it's our time to take over. Offense did exactly what they needed to do, which score enough points to win the game, and the defense took over and held strong. So it was cool to see Meridian do that. That's going to be a huge thing they look back on when it comes to the rest of this season as they get closer to the playoffs. Any other games you want to touch base on? Because I have one I want to talk about here with Owyhee and Nampa from last Friday, but I want to see if there was any other games you wanted to touch base on from the last 2 weeks, to do a quick recap on some.
Man, I know Owyhee also went to Eagle. I don't remember if we talked about that game. Yeah, we did not. Eagle at home is different than Eagle on the road. I mean, we just saw Eagle play Boise the other day. We can touch on that in a minute too. But Eagle at home, that Mountain View Eagle game this week it's essentially what we've got, Shane, is we've got a semifinal into the district championship game. The winner of Eagle and Mountain View will play the winner of Rocky Meridian in the district championship game. Like I said, I'll talk more about Eagle in a minute, but Owyhee, what's going on with Owyhee is, I think you'll touch on here in a minute. That's something that we should dive into, but we just seen what we thought we would see with the top 4, and then there's a gap, and then there's everybody else. And there's been a couple games that have been close. Owyhee Mountain View was close. Boise Eagle was closer than we thought it was going to be. So is the gap shrinking from where it was last year and the year before? I think it is. I think teams are improving and whatnot, but it's going to be interesting to see who can get into state. And like, let's say a Kuna or a Nampa or a Owyhee gets into the state tournament. Can they go win a game? That's what I'm excited to see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Speaking of Owyhee, let's talk about them real quick. The Storm, they're experiencing their own storm, if you will. Not to be corny or throw the pun out there, but I had missed catching some of their games for almost a month now. Obviously, I was at the game against Madison to start the season. We got to see them, start off 3-0, and then you guys were covering them. We had coverage on each one of those games, and they were on a 3-game losing streak. A couple of those games were tight-knit games, but they were on a 3-game losing streak going into the last Friday. Couple of things. I mean, some personnel changes. They had some injuries at the wide receiver position, a transfer out of the wide receiver position. There's a lot of shifts up, a lot of changes on the sideline. We'll leave it at that for last week. So it was kind of interesting. I was curious to see what was going to happen. They had an injury to the quarterback position, Matt Irwin being out. my, oh my, did that Owyhee team look much different offensively than they've looked throughout the rest of the season. And some would say it's a good thing. I mean, they ran the ball. They literally threw the ball twice in the first half. One of them was a pick that set up a touchdown with less than a minute left to go in the first half. That was arguably that was a big play in the game because they ended up losing by 2 to Nampa. That you go back and look at that possession. I mean, they shouldn't even have thrown the ball. Like, what were they doing? They didn't throw it the entire first half. Like, they threw a pick. So I think they threw the ball maybe 5 or 6 times total throughout the game, and a lot of that was at the very end of the game when they're just trying to throw the ball up. They didn't throw. It's a wing T offense. It's running the ball, a lot of misdirection and just running. Whole different ball game, because what's interesting, AJ, to me is like at the beginning of the season, they have some studs at the wide receiver position. They've got some stud running backs too. Like, they've got weapons, they've got athletes. But if I'm a wide receiver, I'm not playing in that offense, period. Like, I'm just going to say that right now. I don't feel bad saying that. Like, I would never want to be in that offense. I would transfer to a different school. Because like, football, I just had this conversation with a former college football player who just interviewed with me on my podcast this week, and he was saying the exact same thing. If in high school, football is like all you get for recruiting. It's not basketball or baseball. You don't have club for football. So football is literally based on your school and your offense that you are running. If you are a skill position player and you are not utilized, you transfer to a different school, period. It's not the whole thing. All you need to see it out, play for your teammates. If your goal is to get to the college level of football specifically, you better have an offense that allows you to shine in your skill set, period. And people might hate on me for saying that. Man, I'll tell you right now.
Listen, like, let me snowball off what you're saying right now, because like a couple weeks ago, Gabe Alvarado was one of the leading receivers in the league. He was looking like a potential receiver of the year we were talking about, and now he's not getting a target. Like, that's a weapon. That is a weapon right there. I mean, they've got different weapons all along that offense. They were a pass first offense. It seemed like, against Mountain View, you couldn't run the ball with those linebackers. And so they were throwing the ball all over Mountain View. Alvarado had 3 touchdowns against a very good number 3 ranked Mountain View team. And then Irwin goes out and they switch it to the wing T. You ain't running the ball against the best teams in the league. Like, you're not running the ball down Mountain View's throat. You're not running the ball down Eagle or Meridian or Rocky. All those teams got high level college players in their front 7. Is not happening. So like, are you playing to maybe get into the playoffs? Maybe, because at this point, if the league were to end now, then Owyhee's playing Rocky or Meridian to go to state. Like,
yeah,
you better think about what you're doing. And listen, we do not ever want to be negative on anything we do. Everybody knows that about us. We are positive. We about the love, but we also, as media, have an obligation to talk about things that we see that are happening. I don't know what's going on at Owyhee. I don't know why it's going on. Listen, my opinion, quick rant. They were 1-10 last year, okay? They won their first 3 games this year, and they were looking good. Not only did they win their first 3 games, then they played a huge game against Mountain View, our game of the week, I believe it was, and they took they were one bad call away from being down 42-17 in that game. The call went their way, okay? An Ivan Perkins pick 6 got called back. We talked about this before. They ended up taking advantage of it. They scored. Then there was a muffed punt. They scored again, and they got the ball back with a chance to win the game with 2 minutes from midfield, down 3, against Mountain View, who's ranked number 3. Great coaching job. The offense looked great. Then all of a sudden they lose at Eagle, which in my opinion, hardest place to win in the entire league is Eagle and or Rocky. Okay. That's how I feel about Thunder Stadium. So they go, they're 3-2 then, right? And then they lose, and then everything goes down and kind of goes haywire because people are complaining, whether it's parents or whoever's complaining about what's going on at Owyhee. Blows my mind. It blows my mind because that's a 3-2, a great start. You lost at Thunder Stadium, tough loss. Had a chance to beat Mountain View. It shows your progress. You just don't almost beat Mountain View. It just doesn't happen. And then all of a sudden, and you won your first 3 games. And then you lose to a Borah team, which is a game you probably should have lost. Didn't have your quarterback. All the offense changed like you just talked about, Shane. And Borah was a playoff team last year. And now they have their studs back. So now you're 3-3 and you're having the problems you're having, which we won't dive into, but you're having the problems you're having. No, that's the problem. For me, I haven't seen the coaching as a problem. I see everything else around the outside as a problem. I don't know what's going on. I know some of what's going on. And it's ridiculous that the negativity comes at something so positively happening in your second year as a program. But listen, basketball won state, baseball won state, softball got second in state. So now there's this expectation that football needs to, because football is king, right? It's sick to me. I feel bad for that football program and for those kids and for the head coach and what's going on over there. I have a problem with it. We don't need to get into that. I'm not trying to go negative with it, but I wanted to throw that out there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but see, here's the deal. All is not lost over to Owyhee. It just looks a lot different right now at this moment. And to their defense, they came out with a brand new offense, and they were moving the ball this last Friday. I mean, their offensive line is arguably one of their, outside of their skill positions, they have some solid athletes on that team, but their offensive line is full of studs. I mean, you've got college athletes on that line. So, I get, okay, let's put the ball behind them and let's let them dictate the pace of the game. And they actually did that. The majority of the game, even up into the very end of that game, they were in a chance. They scored with 2 minutes to go, put them up, and put their defense behind to try to steal the game. And unfortunately, they just couldn't get it done because Nampa's a bunch of dogs that can get things done. Shout out to Carrillo and Navarro for their game that they had. I mean, they just kept fighting and chipping away. But yeah, Owyhee just seemed a little bit different. But they did come out there with a lot of intensity. I mean, Bo Jakes, Gabe, who's it? Haas, Gabe Haas. Who? Gage.
Gage Haas, yeah.
Gage Haas. Sorry, I always think of the Instagram handle. Sorry, Gage. So I'm thinking Gmo or something. I can't remember what the Instagram handle was. But anyway, studs all across the field. Owyhee didn't play a terrible game, so I'm not trying to diss on their performance because they actually played very well considering the limitations they had on offense. I mean, everybody knew they were running the ball every single play, and they were still able to do it. But like you said, I just don't see, if I'm a receiver, I just don't want to be at that school. That's the thing. So hopefully, I mean, maybe that's the offensive run. I don't know. And maybe the receivers like it because I saw Gabe doing his thing, even as a receiver, not getting the ball as much in his hands, but he was still blocking. He was out there and he was talking, and it was a lot of competition out there, and I loved hearing it all the game. So maybe he's enjoying it. And so I can't speak to those guys. I'm not the players. I just thought it looked a lot different, but I want to see what Owyhee does to finish out the season. Now they've got a big game this week, Kuna Owyhee. AJ, what do you expect from that game? I want to know about that game. What you're expecting to see based on what we just saw from Owyhee, if they stay with that offense, and what we've seen from Kuna in recent weeks, who is also seeming to stumble just a tad after that Nampa game that they had. That Nampa game seemed to kick Kuna around a little bit. So I'm curious what your thoughts are there.
Kuna just, they want to beat themselves. I mean, and we talked about that. That's their problem. We saw Keyshawn Kelly, Panda, and Tajay Taylor after the game. Me and Ty did after the Boise Eagle game. We started talking to them. We're like, if you guys clean it up, you guys have the weapons. Your defense has improved significantly from 43 points a game last year. You've cut that almost in half. Kuna needs to clean it up, and I think they have the ability to put some points on the board at least against the big dogs. But you can't beat yourself, especially when there's not much depth, and against these bigger teams, you can't do that. And we've had that conversation before. But I know this week they were only down 3 to Mountain View at halftime, which kind of had all of us at the game I was at just like, whoa, Kuna's there with Mountain View. We know they can score. And then Mountain View kind of flipped the switch and completely locked up in the second half. And Kuna kind of went Kuna mode and turned it over. Penalties, those type of things. If Kuna can clean those up and they can clean this up a little bit, Kuna's a team that I think can make the state tournament and surprise people because they got weapons all over. Luke Celto is having a year. Last year it was Luke Snar. He's still having a great year too. Luke Celto has exploded onto the scene this year. Caden Turner, I think, needs to get the ball more. When I watched him play against Borah, he was solid. He's a big play waiting to happen. I'd like to see him get the ball more, but they've got Gus Austin. I mean, we could run down the list of guys that Kuna has, and Kuna has one of the best stable of skill position guys in Idaho. And so they've got guys there. Luke Ingay can sling it. When he's a rhythm guy, though. When he finds a rhythm, you better watch out. Kuna can beat you. If Cole has trouble finding a rhythm and there's penalties and big plays getting called back, it makes it tougher for him. But if he can find a rhythm, which is part of them cleaning it up, Cuna's dangerous.
I love everything you said right there. That's why I'm excited to see what happens this week. I mean, Owyhee's looking to finish the season with a bang. They said, okay, they're right on the cusp of getting victories here. They've had a couple rough weeks, shifting some things around, but they're still competitive and they still have dogs, right? And so my expectation is I think this is senior night for Owyhee. They're probably not – they have a bad taste in their mouth after that Nampa game. It was a very competitive bout. Nampa was chirping back at Owyhee students. So, like, you got to let that – there's pouring some salt in the wound. You got that wound. It's still open, I think, still fresh. But hopefully Owyhee can maybe get over that today or tomorrow and then get themselves back ready to rock and roll emotionally against Kuna. And I honestly don't know. This is a toss-up game for me. I believe if Owyhee can go out there and control the ball, if they're going to run the same offense, I mean, if they dictate the line of scrimmage and they keep – I mean, the first quarter was done in what literally felt like less than 18 minutes to me. Like, I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, my gosh. And it was like a half hour, 35 minutes, and we're at halftime. And the only reason the game took as long as it did is because it was homecoming the other day, and they had to do this long halftime. Otherwise, that game would have been over in by 8:40. Like, it was happening so quick.
I showed up. I left the Rocky game to come and catch the second half of your game because I knew homecoming was going on. I'm like, I'll get there for the whole second half because the Rocky first half flew by against Capital. I left. I got there. I saw that there's about 3.5 minutes to go, and I was like, oh, it's almost end of the third quarter. And I went down, I hugged you, we were talking. I was like, oh, it's a pretty good game. I'm excited for the fourth quarter. And everyone's like, what? This is a game. I was like, is it the fourth quarter? Like, how is it the fourth quarter? Could not believe it. I should have stayed at Rocky Mountain, but it was a great finish. But I think that Kuna Owyhee, if we remember last year, Owyhee was looking for their first win. It was at Owyhee. Owyhee scores with, I think it was a minute and a half to go. And then Kuna gets the ball, throws a screen pass to Gus Austin he goes 75 yards, touchdown, breaks Owyhee's hearts last year. I remember I showed up for the end of that game, for the last quarter of that game, and Kuna stole that one from them, ripped their hearts out. That was at Owyhee. They won't forget that. It's going to be interesting to see if they run that offense. I think they could dictate the line of scrimmage against Kuna, but Kuna is going to score some points too, potentially. That's going to be a fun one as well. A lot of great games this week.
Heck yeah, it is. Yeah, we'll see. Kuna's strength is Owyhee's weakness. I believe the secondary is their weakest point on the defensive, side of the ball. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody there, but I do think that that's kind of like the Achilles heel, and Kuna can sling it, like you said. So it's going to be fun. We'll see how that game goes. A lot of good matchups. I just want to ask before we start getting into this week's powerhouse matchups, hidden gems. Who are some of the guys that stood out to you, AJ, the last 2 weeks? You mentioned some of the players, but if you could pick 3 guys that stood out to you in the games that we've covered over the last 2 weeks, who would they be? Because I know at Rocky the other night, you were telling me a certain dude over there. I'll let you get it to it, but I want to hear about some of the dudes that we've been hearing the last 2 weeks while I've been out of town.
So Rocky has a lot of dudes over there, but refresh my memory. Who was it?
I think it was Lucchini.
Yeah. Luke Lucchini is the best receiver in the league right now. I mean, he and part of that is the attention that CJ Jacobson gets. So that duo is very formidable. Capital has one of the best players in the league. Their corner, number 7, his name is Vic. Don't know how to say his last name. Apologize, Vic. But he's a college corner. He was shadowing CJ everywhere, and Lucchini popped off. I think he had 100 yards in the first half. He had a touchdown pass that he dropped, which he was ready to score. He just pulled his eyes off it. That happens. But Luke Lucchini, Meridian better be ready for double L because that boy is a monster. He's been lifting. He's a college receiver. Lucchini for sure for me. At this point, he's receiver of the year for me in the SIC. Like I said, Gabe Alvarado was in that conversation for a while. They just completely quit throwing the ball. He's had a great year, though, as well, the transfer from Timberline. But Lucchini for sure. I'm really impressed with Art Williams defensively as well. He's playing linebacker. Him and Gage Tanner are wow. That's a duo as well. Those linebackers are going to be fun to watch against these running backs of Meridian, who they want to hit you too. There are going to be some enormous hits this week. We'll wait to talk about that. I will say, who else did I see? Noah Burnham, the freshman running back at Eagle, is a man-child, and he's a little dude. He's not huge. He's built. You can tell he spends time in a weight room, but he's a freshman, and he looks like a freshman. He is bouncing off guys. He is running guys over. He wants the contact. He's shifty. DM, who's sitting here with me, say what's up, DM.
What's up?
Yes, sir. DM was impressed with him. He really kind of took the game over against Boise, and just kind of controlled it himself. They weren't letting Longston get loose, but Burnham was just doing what he wanted. First down, touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns the week before. I think he played pretty well. Noah Burnham, name to remember, Eagle running back, him and Roy Hull, nice little duo there. And let's see if I have to pick another guy, Spencer Alland. I don't want to say it wrong. Spencer Alland for the corner from Meridian. We talked about Mason Mayer at the start of the year. Their question marks were their corners. They've got Eason and Beard at safety. And then they've got those 4 linebackers, and they've got Hartsoe, King Kai, and Meisner up front. It was their corners we were curious about. Mason Mayer was our player of the week against Eagle the first week with the way he played, and then Spencer Alland was absolutely fantastic. Quarter was our player of the game against Highland. Spencer Alland could have been player of the game. Spencer Alland is lifting. He's long. He's confident. And I'm hearing over there at Meridian, you've got Nathan Reynolds and kind of Corbin Meisner, Max William, kind of those physical presence, kind of that leadership over there. But the lead by example with Ryan Quarter and the mouthpiece of Landon Eason it's really becoming contagious over there. And you can see from those cornerbacks, especially in that secondary, with the way Beard and Eason are bringing those cornerbacks along. They're going to be tested this week like they haven't been tested. We are going to really find out if Mayer and Alland are for real against these next level receivers. So Spencer Alland, Noah Burnham, I'm going to give Seth Brock had 4 sacks in the fourth quarter against Boise and kind of close the door there. But a lot of fun seeing these guys kind of pop up out of nowhere like Noah Burnham and Spencer Alland and just making an impact.
That's awesome. That's why you guys should be tuning into our show. If you don't know these names, we're in Idaho. We're trying to uncover these hidden gems, and that's why I love AJ for doing the work and doing the research. She's not just a stat watcher like some people just go over to Max Preps and check out the stats or whatever it may be. Nah, dude, AJ knows the guys that are doing their thing. He knows these dudes by name. And even on the girls' side with soccer and volleyball, he's got it all down, man. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to uncover these hidden gems. We're looking forward to seeing what they do moving forward. This week, big slate of games, arguably like the biggest game, obviously, of the season, but of recent history that we can remember. We've got a powerhouse matchup with Rocky Meridian. Before we get to that one, Eagle and Mountain View. You just mentioned, freshman running back over at Eagle with Roy Hull doing the duo there. We've had question marks about Eagles' offensive production. Mountain View has a stout defensive front seven. They're going to put it to them. And then Eagles got a solid defense as well. And we'll see what Mountain View can do with their receiving core and their running backs. Like, what are they going to be able to do? It's going to be a very interesting matchup, AJ. What do you expect over there with Eagle and Mountain View?
I'm going to be completely transparent here. I do not expect Eagle to win this game. Even though it's at Thunder Stadium, I think that gives them a chance. Here's why. Eagle's strength is Mountain View's strength. Mountain View's front seven with Grizzle and Childs and Perkins and Melee and all those guys. You're talking about a freshman and you're talking about Longston are going to have to find a way to chew up yards, and they're going to have to get the ball in Duarte's hands. They're going to have to get creative to try to score some points because they're not going to, in my opinion, be able to run the ball down Mountain View's throat. If they can and they shut me up and they go win that game, I will be very impressed. But I trust that Mountain View defense and that Mountain View front seven too much, man, to expect Eagle to be able to run down their throat because Eagle's not throwing the ball very well. They're not finding ways to go vertical. They're going a lot of east and west. They do have explosive playmakers. Jake Longston's very explosive, very fast. Noah Burnham, Roy Hull, Duarte. They've got guys. Mountain View is not – they're more kind of like Owyhee. Their secondary is kind of their Achilles heel, but they still got playmakers in Ackley and McBride and all those guys that have been there, done that. And Owen McBride is a game breaker. And so it's going to be tough for Eagle, I think, to score points, but also the injury bug has been just consuming Mountain View. More receivers were out. I think Cobbs and Rogers might have been out, or one of them was out. Dawson Wall was out. We already know Flatten's out. Traven Hardy's been out all year. He's out for the year. Flatten's out for the year. So can Mountain View score against that Eagle front seven? Oh, I don't know. Mountain View has gotten they've become more of kind of a trickery-based team. They got a lot of misdirection, kind of trick plays. So it's going to be interesting. But Seth Brock, Eli Makita, Dallas Sargent, Gavin Crawford, I mean, Mikhail Snedden, like they got playmakers all over the field as well. Carter Davis, he got banged up at the end of that Boise game. He has to be on the field for them to have a shot. But listen, also on the other side of the ball, Mountain View potentially has the next best offensive line in the league next to Rocky Mountain. Okay. I believe it was Keegan Henson just signed with Idaho. They have a Division I lineman, Keegan Henson. So can Brock and Davis do what they've been doing against these lower tier teams and get to the quarterback and create plays that way? I don't know. I talked to Corbin Meisner, and he said that Mountain View offensive line is rough and tumble and competitive, and they're tough. And so it's going to be interesting for me. That's why I don't think Eagle – I'm picking Mountain View in this game because Eagle's strength defensively goes against Mountain View strength offensively, their line, and then Eagle's strength offensively goes against Mountain View strength. And I think Mountain View's just got more playmakers. I mean, ultimately is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. Very exciting game. And the whole breakdown that you just gave there, strength on strength, it's who's stronger, though, at that point. And so right now it appears to be Mountain View. We'll see what comes of it. Eagle does have the benefit of playing at home, and they have a good athlete in Duarte on the field, too, as well. So, like, there's a lot of things that could go, one way or the other. So we're looking forward to that game. Boise Borah this week, AJ. That's a big one. What are your thoughts on Boise Borah?
Listen, I think this is going to be a really good game. That's why Boise Sports Talk is going to this game. He told me at the Boise Eagle game, I cannot wait for Boise Borah. I said, you're not going to Rocky Meridian? He's like, no. He thinks I believe he thinks there's going to be a 2.0 of that game at some point. But listen, Boise did a really good job of holding Jake Longston in check, but Noah Burnham did pop off. Okay. The freshman running back did ball out. Roy Hull played well. But Jared Fuller and Carson Nilsson and Duncan Thompson up there in the front seven and Luke Britt in the secondary, those are more guys that could be hidden gems. Jared Fuller had a huge game against Eagle, number 24 linebacker. Carson Nilsson as well, the lacrosse player, number 4 linebacker. 2 more hidden gems. Shout out to the Boise linebackers, got some ballers. That's going to be an interesting game because now they're going up against Parker Rushton, who he's going to hit you right back. And when they beat Owyhee, that showed me like, okay, they can handle guys like Bo Jakes and Gage Haas and Cooper Hyatt and those guys. And so I got Borah in this game because Borah beat a team like Owyhee, and Borah's been there, done that. But I think there's going to be some big hits. There's a rivalry aspect there. Going to be a fun one. I think Boise Sports Talk is going to be in for some big highlights and for sure a lot of trash talk. That's going to be a fun one.
That'll be an absolute blast. Can't wait for that one either. And yeah, shout out to Ty for going over there. There's a reason that he wants to be at that game and getting the coverage for you guys for that too. AJ and I, however, will be over at Meridian for this game. Big time game. Warriors, Grizz. Man, it's a big one. At the beginning of the season, I was quoted by saying, and I'll be honest with this, I said it was like 2 or 3 weeks into the season, if that. I said Rocky Mountain will blow out Meridian. I think it was after the Mountain View Meridian game, actually. I watched the Mountain View Meridian game. And I said Rocky Mountain's going to blow out Meridian when they play them later in the season. And everyone's like, wow, really? And I said, yeah. I believe that's going to be, I just believe the matchups that's just how it stood. That being said, Meridian's offense has proven to me that they have been clicking for the majority of their games. But AJ, here's what I'm worried about, right? They clicked very well against very subpar opponents. When they faced Mountain View with a stout defensive line and a great linebacking core, when they faced Highland, highly athletic, tough dudes on the defensive line, they only scored 2 touchdowns in each of those games. Okay. Their defense held them in those games to seal those games off. And in both the Mountain View and Highland game, Meridian had their backs against the wall with their defense on the field and the opposing team driving. Okay. Both of those games, they were on their heels. And I give a shout out to their defense. It speaks to their defense, and they've won those close games. But I think Rocky's offense is better than Mountain View's, obviously. I believe it's better than Highlands. And I believe their defense is just as good as either one of those teams. That is where it concerns me. Do I think it's going to be a blowout? Probably not. But I still do have concerns with Meridian's offense against all of the athletes that are on Rocky. So that is why I'm curious. I still believe Rocky wins this game. I really do. And it pains me to say that. You guys can see, I always say I'm a Meridian alum, but I believe Rocky has the studs on that team on both sides of the ball, and they're rolling. Just like Meridian's rolling, Rocky's rolling right now, guys. Like, everyone forgets that Rocky's just over there. I think it's just because it's consistently the last couple of years, it's just been the noise. Like, it's just normal. Rocky's just winning and doing their thing. But they continue to get better. They continue to improve game after game after game, which is why they're so scary. Meridian's going to be at home, crazy atmosphere. AJ, what are your thoughts, man?
Oh, wow, bro. I mean, we've been waiting for this one, man, and super excited. Weather's supposed to be beautiful. It's going to be a perfect fall night. It's why we do what we do. But when it comes down to the game, listen, I echo what you're saying. Meridian has shown us, and they showed against Highland, they ground and pound, and they play defense. Their intermediate passing game, which we talked about earlier in the year, has not been there. They don't have those receivers. Corbin Freeze seems like more of a big play guy instead of a possession guy. He had 3 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns against, I believe it was Middleton. Tyson Acree has always been a big play guy. They haven't implemented Hayner as much or Reynolds as much. They get the ball to their running backs, who are the 2 best running backs in the league. Art Williams is not a full-time running back. I think he's going to be this weekend. But Byington and Del Rio, they try to control the game. They ground and pound. Zeke's going to have to make plays. We all know Zeke Martinez can make plays. It has been what I would say an underwhelming season statistically for him, but at the same time, very efficient, and they're giving their horses the ball. And so I get it. So not that Zeke isn't playing well. He is. He's been efficient, big numbers. I think he leads the state in yards per completion. They're going to have to make plays through the air, whether that's to their running backs or deep to their wide receivers and whatnot. But here's the thing. Meridian's defense, in my opinion, is better than Rocky's. Rocky's not going to like that. They will, if they go improve it, they're going to let me hear it. With the production and the growth of Spencer Olland and Mason Mayer, and what we've seen from Ethan Beard looks like a Division I safety. A lot of people were like, oh, he got it 7-on-7. He's not a D1 safety. He looks like a D1 safety. And we're going to find out this weekend. And, of course, Landon Eason. And then you got the linebackers, and you've got that front 7 that's just crazy. Rocky's defense is right there. They're the second best defense. I just think Rocky has a couple more holes that you can go after than Meridian's defense does. But Rocky's offense, I think, is more explosive, more apt for the big play. Tegan Sweeney's legs are going to be an issue potentially. And you've got Jacobson and Lucchini, and then they're going to have Williams back there. I know Art's going to get more touches on offense. Tayshawn Reese is a big play guy. Isaiah Reed had a nice game the other day. They've got guys all over the place, and can you cover them all while you worry about Sweeney's legs? Listen, I want Meridian. That's my team. I got them winning the state championship this year, even if they lose this game. I just think that mindset-wise, I like them in this game. I told a friend of mine, Cade Stedman, earlier in the year before the season started. Cade is Rocky's Division I defensive lineman. I told him that I was going to pick Rocky in the first matchup. I am going to pick Rocky in this game, and here is why. You know me, Shane. You got to prove it. Meridian hasn't beaten Rocky in 10 years. Do I think Meridian is the better team? I think they will win the state championship. That's what I'll say. I think their defense is better. I think their offense has the potential to match Rocky's offense. Rocky has more dudes on offense. Meridian has more dudes on defense. It's at Meridian. But they're going to have to show me we can beat Rocky. And when I started this 3-4 years ago, there were so many teams that had Rocky problems. The Rocky problem. Oh, we're playing Rocky. And I saw it, dude. I've seen it in the games. I saw it with Capital a little bit. Capital got Tayshawn Reese fumbled early in the game. Okay. Tucker French jumps on it. They're first and goal, 0-0. Capital was just like, all right, we recovered a fumble. Great. There was no excitement. There was no energy. It's like, you guys have a chance to jump up on Rocky and take the lead and start the game on a high note. They were just like, all right. And they kind of just threw it. It just felt like they just thought, we have no chance. We have no chance. And so a lot of teams have that Rocky problem that we've talked about for years. It was more so in basketball, but I see it in every sport. But Meridian has to win this game for us to put them at number one. And for me to pick them, listen, if they lose this game, I'm going to contradict myself. And if they play again, I will pick Meridian. It's just what's going to happen, unless, pending injuries and all that type of stuff. I got Rocky in this game unless Meridian proves me wrong. I want Meridian. Go Warriors. I'm going to be decked out in my Warriors gear. I'm yellow and navy. Let's go. And I think, and there's going to be some big hits, Shane. There's going to be some heads rolling, and it's going to be must-see TV. And I think Meridian's probably going to have to bring in some extra bleachers for this one.
Yeah, it might be like that state tournament game against good old Rigby last year, the semifinal match, bringing the bleachers behind the goal line, which I hadn't seen since I was a freshman in high school. Dead serious. So that's wild to me. It's going to be awesome. Again, I'm picking Rocky. Similar things to what you said. I want Meridian to prove it. It's a powerhouse matchup. Two amazing schools going at it from about 2 miles down the road from one another. You can't ask for a better rivalry matchup than this right now. I think, like you said, teams have had the Rocky yips, in my opinion. Like they're beat before they even get there. Meridian has even had that even up last year. Meridian wasn't. You could argue Meridian had athletes last year too, and they made it to the semifinals and everything, but they were outmatched by Rocky. But I feel like Rocky's been this consistent team at the top. Meridian's kind of been building the last 3 years or so for this particular moment. It's a matter if they're ready for it. And I'm curious to see. I'm picking Rocky still, but I want to see it. It's going to be an interesting one. Let's let them show us what's going to happen. So I want to remind everybody, if you guys want to catch some of the footage from what we're doing, some of the highlights, we'll be pushing this on the Idaho Underground Sports Network Instagram page. So I'm going to give you guys one more reminder here before we wrap it up to go follow us on Instagram. So every week we've got our highlights, got players of the week. We've got updates and everything that we're doing. We've got game reels and recaps. We've got Daniel Wise, Cherry Films, Mountain View Clips, the MVHS Clips that's doing that. Sutton Media out east. Like, we've got a lot of guys. Sam Buffington up north helping us out with some of the clips. Follow us on Instagram. Go ahead, AJ.
I want to give my boy Lucas Stockham a shout out. XDS Media. Follow him. He's been helping us out. He's been collabing on a bunch of stuff. He's really getting involved in the game as well. Sorry to interrupt, Shane. I do want to ask you something, Shane.
Yeah.
I want you to give me an X factor for each team, offense and defense, for this game. I want to know. Give me a Rocky X factor, offense and defense, and a Meridian X factor, offense and defense.
Rocky X factor is going to be Tegan Sweeney on offense, first and foremost. And I know that sounds cliche because we're going to be talking about, he's a quarterback, but you mentioned it, something that's been on my mind. Can he run? Can he move? And can he extend plays with his feet? Meridian has often had that as their Achilles heel. Against Rigby and Tiger last year, they had them dead to rights a couple of times, but because of his ability to run, especially on third downs, it blew up Meridian's defense. That defense that was stout last year, Meridian, they got destroyed that game. And a lot of it had to do with Tiger's legs and his ability to extend plays, because then you leave your DBs out to dry. So I think Tegan's ability to run, he's going to be the X factor. Can he make the passes that he's supposed to make? Right? There's going to be times where you throw 50-50 balls up and you hope that your receiver can make a play, but the passes that you're supposed to make, can he make those? And can he keep his legs moving to extend plays? Because I think Meridian's going to be coming after him. They're going to be putting a lot of single coverages out there on there. I think Meridian believes they have the guys to cover those dudes. They don't need to have double coverage over everybody and shielding them with safety coverage. That being said, you can't let them be running for too long out there by themselves. So Tegan's going to be an X factor. Meridian's X factor on offense, in my opinion, is actually both the running backs. It's Byington and Del Rio. I think whoever's going to get the bulk of the snaps, they're going to get hit a lot, but it's, can they stay durable? Can they make the plays? Can they break away a couple of those 4-yard, 5-yard gains? Can they get the yards after contact when they get hit? Because there's going to be some big hits. That's what I look forward to. Like, if you look at, as a Cowboys fan, I look at Zeke Martinez. No, I look at Ezekiel Elliott, right? Zeke, when he gets hit, he gets 2 or 3 yards of carry because he can get a little contact. So some people say, oh, well, he's not the same guy, but he's still getting yards after contact. That's what I want these two running backs to do for Meridian. Those are the X factors on offense. Defensively for both, man, that's hard. That's hard for me. There's studs across the entire board. I don't even know who to even put out there. Who would I put, AJ? Who are you picking on defense for Rocky? Is it Wilkie? Who is it?
It's Troy Wilkie.
Yeah, Wilkie's going to come out there and lock down. But My question is this, though, right? You have a defensive stud. This is where I've always been of this belief, and sometimes I differ in opinion. You got Reynolds. I mean, you got pick your choice on Meridian's defensive front too, but like, if you're the opposing team, my theory is this. It's always when people used to talk about J.J. Watt on the defensive line, like, oh, man, you got to run your plays away from him, right? So you schematically – I'm of the opposite opinion. I say you run right at him or you target them every single play, right? If they're your playmaker on defense and they're in the secondary, then you run your passes right at them and you show them that you're not scared of them because it's a mental grind. It's a psychological, like, mess up in your head. If they're coming right at you and they're not scared of you, and they can complete some passes, well, not only do they have you on your heels, now you're kind of second-guessing yourself. Same thing on the defensive front. If you're a linebacker or a lineman, I am running right at you. I'm taking a lead blocker, pulling, going right at you every single play. One, it's going to make you tired because you're going to have to actually make a tackle. Every single play, you're going to have to be engaged with a lineman. You're going to have to make a tackle. And two, it's going to show you that no one's scared of you. So you're going to be like, okay, well, now I got to second-guess everything. So that's where I like – you got Wilkie. Who do you have on Meridian's defensive front?
Wilkie and Trey Jacobson, both safeties, I think are going to have to come up and make plays and not get beat over the top because Freeze and Acree can beat you. And Acree, for me, is the X factor. He needs one of those big plays deep could change the game. Only one. And they pick and choose their times, and they bait you. And Wilkie wants to come up and make plays. And Jacobson, he's a sophomore. He played really well the other day. But those two I want to see. Acree for me on offense, Art Williams offensively for Rocky. He's going to be playing linebacker as well, and he's going to be getting hit as much as he's going to be hitting with those running backs. Is he going to have enough in the tank to last and get hit by Quarter and William and Gooley, who's going to be plugging all day, and Reynolds, of course. I mean, how much can Art Williams take playing both ways? Because they have to have him play. He has to play defense for sure. Offensively, they're going to need him as well. For Meridian, boy, listen – Ethan Beard, it's going to be the same as Rocky. It's going to be the two safeties. Ethan Beard and my boy, Landon Ethan.
Creepy, dude.
Like, he's not even a turtle anymore. He's Splinter. So I'm whatever with that. Splinter, his leadership back there, reading what Rocky's doing, keeping people organized, keeping people's heads on straight because the lip service has already started. And there are guys on that Meridian defense, you know, my boy here, who like people need to make sure they're locked in, they're focused, and they don't beat themselves. You cannot beat yourselves in this game. The leadership of Landon Easton, I think, is vital. He is the leader right here. He needs to keep those guys organized, level-headed, and he needs to show why we calling him Splinter now. He graduated from Mr. Ninja Turtle to Splinter. I think he could be a game changer. So I can't wait, man. I appreciate you sharing your opinion. You know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't wait. Can we get the Friday already, boy?
Oh, boy. You guys need to make sure you're tuned in. Idaho Underground Sports on Instagram because that's where we're going to be providing you guys the coverage. We got Cherry Films coming out there with us to get some highlights as well to get you guys all hyped up for the game of the week. And here's the other thing I want to remind you guys. If you're on our Instagram page, you'll see every week who's going to be covering what games for highlights, right? So we do it on our Instagram stories. We've got Daniel Wise, who's going to be helping us out. We got Ty over at Boise Sports Talk, who will be hitting up a different game, obviously. So we show you what pages to follow. So make sure to follow us so you get all the information on who to follow for that night's game. If you're like, hey, well, I still want to see what's going on with Boise Borah. How many times are we scrolling through our phones like, dude, do you know the score to such and such game? Well, here's what we got for you. We go follow certain accounts that are going to be covering those games, and you'll be getting the highlights and the score updates throughout the night with those, which makes it fun, right? You're not just getting a score update. You're getting a little context behind the score. Don't be a stat watcher. Come follow us. That's my biggest thing. Don't be a stat watcher. I hate stat watchers who just talk about, oh, well, so-and-so had X amount of yards passing on this many. But do you know the context of the game? That's where we come in. We're showing you the context of each game with the highlights and so forth. Come follow us. We're going to be there. So on behalf of AJ from EBC Media, I am Shane from Game Time Guru. Oh, AJ's putting it back on. That creepy mask. Make sure to follow Ty on Boise Sports Talk and follow Cherry Films on his Instagram as well. We appreciate you guys. We're happy to be back. This is Gym Session, and we'll be coming to you next week with another one. Take care.
Go Warriors.